Happy Little Fox, A.K. Benji, Ella Dior, Justin Thomas, Norman Swan, Arthur Tushes Jackson, Omar Riverson, Anne On, Electrobilia, Brian Cox, Palmet, Monkey Man here, Vince UK, Mouse is here, got the mouse pewter on. Does this need to go up higher? I think it might need to go up a bit higher. I may push that up a bit higher later on, and suddenly it's all shooting up, and that means the stream has begun. So let's start with sterilization. And as a special treat, you're actually getting UVC this time. Are you ready? UVC sterilization. Let me know if this causes any eye irritation, because you know what? Beaming ultraviolet UVC energy out over the interwebs could cause problems. This is not what I want to do. This is definitely keep your eyes shut for this and just rearrange all the DNA in my face. It's done. Oh no, I can smell it. Let's turn it off. Boop. This thing is all manner of safety stuff. I got this ages ago. I got this in Glasgow. Absolutely before even the pandemic started. It's quite interesting. You turn it on, right? And the red LED lights, just hitting the button isn't going to do anything. You actually have to hold the button in until it starts flashing. And only when it starts flashing, that's when you can push the button and it energizes. It also comes with this little cover plate. You put it on and you can light it, but it blocks the UVC. Sound says I can smell it too. I can smell it. I can definitely smell it. It has just literally rearranged the DNA on the surface of my face, I think. I noticed the light appears teal. It does, Monkey Man here. The reason for that is because, although it's a mercury vapor discharge tube. Thank you, O'Brien Will 3003. Much appreciated. It's a mercury vapor tube, and it doesn't just emit UVC at 254 nanometer, and other frequencies inside 184 nanometer. That doesn't pass that one. But it also puts out UVA, B probably, and also some visible spectrums. But it's got two strong visual spectrums that combine to make that lovely cyan color. Sadly, that's what makes it so alluring to look at, and why people do look at them and then hurt their eyes. I shall level this camera up just a little tiny bit. I turned it off and on again, just to avoid problems. Who do ya ball bags? I'm doing fine, thank you, Martin Bamforth. It was a lovely colour. It is a lovely colour. That is the problem. So nice. How many people have now got these in their attic, and someone's going to find them in the future and go, oh, that's a pretty light. I'm going to put it in my bedroom, and then basically suffer eye itchiness. Camera glass generally filters out UV just about everything. I have been testing that with the little plastic cards. If you use one of these little indicator cards that has a phosphor in the UVC section, the UVA changes colour with standard UV. Hold on, let me just, well, even near UV. I've demonstrated this. If I turn this on, and I expose this card, you'll see that the UV appears, and it does revert back to normal. After a while, it does revert back to white, but the UV has appeared to indicate exposure to UV energy, UVA-ish, near UV, 405, 395, round about that. Can you cook a ham with it? No, you can't, but you can sterilise your ham with it. Just pop that in. Jumps off UFO. Aha, Weezelbox. UFO. Need to put an extremely dangerous sticker on those bulbs. I tend to label them, the boxes they're in, with eye hazard, just in case, you know, when I'm dead. Ralph finds them. There's so much dangerous stuff in here. Ralph's just going to have to be sensible. This is hot. It's hot in any orange stuff. No. There probably is orange stuff. There's an orange cable. You can't see the orange cable. It's currently powering the phone, which I turned off and on again. I rebooted it because there's a bit of clicking on the Patreon stream, but we did resolve that by basically closing the app and reopening it again. Thank you, Joshua Grimm. Much appreciated. Hi, Clive. My friend Klaus has been ill in the past couple of weeks. Could you please command him to get better? Klaus, get better immediately. Or in your own time, but get better. Celebrate the first super chat from Joshua Grimm. That's not actually the first super chat. Get your act together, YouTube. Oh, do you know what I've discovered? Well, that might be a super sticker. That was a super sticker, so that was. My apologies, YouTube. I've discovered something interesting. Isn't the spool of soda orange? No, it's red. It might be coming across as orangish. Tattoo application submitted, Callum. That's good. Callum Rowley. I didn't know they were doing that already. They've already been touched. We'll see what happens. My vape bat says, hi bat, how do I fix that? 18650. Hi bat, Anon. Measure the voltage across it. If it's above 4.2 volts, that's kind of, maybe it's misreading it. Do you know, the problem with many of the vape devices is that some of the vape juice, because it's very hygroscopic, gets down into them and it messes up voltage references. That may be what's going on. So, greetings, Scruff Dog. How is Furbear? I haven't heard from him in ages. Have I been working on strange projects lately? Do I ever stop working on strange projects? Is the question. Belfast boy from Oz. Gold in the Outback. James Speakman. Gold. So I have been printing stuff, 3D printing stuff, but nothing radical. Supermarkets taking vapes off the shelf, are they? Jack Attack? Wonder why. I'm the Beelzebub. Thank you. Much appreciated. Feeling a bit down today, but Clive always cheers me up. This is good. This is the point of this channel. I cut my fingers open, says Andreas. Well, we do that from time to time. Hopefully it's not too bad. Are you going to watch the Super Bowl? Probably not, Big Toe. I don't really watch much sport. Death by MRI scanner, Arthur Touches Jackson. That was a bit weird. A lawyer, not, was it Mexico or something? But a lawyer went into an MRI room. And he had a gun in his pocket, and the magnet attracted the gun. It hit the MRI unit and shot him, and he's dead. He was a lawyer. Not to worry. Dan says, hello, Big Clive as well. We are both here now. Greetings, Dan. Phil Brown. I cut my nails with flush cutters, as do I. Then people complain. They say, why'd you cut your nails so much? It's no wonder you can't open things. That's true. I can't afford a voltmeter, Anon. It doesn't need to be too high a profile voltmeter. A cheapy $5 one is fine. The UK government's answer to disposable vapes, add more tax to make it more expensive. That's how they work, Graham Shaw. Maybe they're going to hand the money over to the tobacco industry or something like that. Who knows? That was like conspiracy shit right there. The vapes thing is because they got the neck too strong and overfilled the pods. Okay, Bill Richards, they have been doing that. They've been putting in, the limit is 2 milligrams, is it not, of nicotine, and you're the 600 puff device, but they've been selling 3,500 puff devices that are rechargeable or have really big batteries. Great. 1.5 amp hour lithium cells. That's what we want. Their definition of a puff is the very small thing. Hold on. Let me go and get a rechargeable disposable with no nicotine. Could have been shot by his dog from the back seat. Could have been James Speakman. Last time I was in Glasgow, I picked up quite a few. Oh, Jaeger time. It is Jaeger time. To everybody in Turkey, during the horrific earthquakes and building collapses that have occurred, to Turkey. So you have to go to illicit places for your great big vapes. But unfortunately, they've stopped using the 1.5 amp hour juicy lithium cells. And it's cheaper just to put a USB-C connector in. It's cheaper. In Turkey and Syria, that's correct, Chipmunk. To Syria as well. Yeah, GS1512, why did they not search him? Was he doing that, I'm a lawyer, you can't touch me thing? Not sure. Is it common for early SPI flash chips to lose a program over the years if not powered? John Payton, the information can degrade depending on the quality of chip over time. Flash memory is not necessarily permanent. Same as EEPROMs. I think it can degrade over time. It occasionally makes sense to just read the file off and then write it back in to freshen it up again. Liz Edwards is here. Good. We missed you on Thursday, Liz, but we had whiffles in your honour anyway. Have you done the live button thing, DC on? I have not. check your little live thing is active in the indicator in the progress bar. If it's not red, it doesn't mean it's live, and it might be live at the moment. And we're right over there having a live stream, and you're kind of like lagging behind. And when you leave chat comments, it's quite funny because we can tell where you are in the stream from what you're commenting on. People lose an eye because of metal splinter. Oh, are you talking the MRI? That's pretty severe. Does that mean the gun is now stuck to the MRI and it's damaged it? I'm not sure. Quark is here. Found some old projects and the flash was corrupt. That's not so great, John Payton. It makes you realise that you have to refresh all your backups ever so often. Krisker, it's not. You'd better actually send your money directly to the relief funds instead of actually to me, because then Google takes a slice and then I'd have to find a way to actually send it there. So that's not a good idea. If you wish to contribute to the relief funds, you can find them online. Just make sure that you look for legitimate ones and not ones people have just started up. You know what it's like. MRIs sound amazing. They do, Matt Rutter. Scary inside. What causes the SD memory cards to fail in mobile devices? Belfast Boy from Oz. They're only rated for a fixed number of writes, and depending on how good the operating system is, if it writes too many times, if it's writing continually, like the old Windows used to absolutely destroy flash memory that way, if it writes too many times, it reduces the lifespan until it just can't write anymore. Thank you, Chris Gurr, much appreciated. Shaved his head? What? Me? Dunno. EEPROM has a life of around 100,000 writes. It does, Todd Sharp. International Red Cross is a good place to start, Rifleman. I'm still suspicious about some of the big charities. I'm very suspicious about Electrical Safety First because it's owned by the NIC EIC. Charities. The scammers is what motivated the whip round suggestion. I was ripped off by somebody, Chris Gurr. It happens. People just start things to cash in it. And the inflated capacity scammy drives are fun, Verdugo. I'd recommend only getting your drives from a reputable source. You're not getting factory seconds with dead bits and potential failure. Also, you're getting the correct memory capacity. Memory is very cheap in Asda. They sell a brand that is quite cheap, suspiciously cheap. ERW, why not make a supercomputer version of your logo? I could. I mean, you could basically get a bigger panel like this and actually just only populate the LEDs in it. I'm not sure how well that would work for the resolution, though. It might be quite crude looking. Tom Houston, I once worked on a badly designed system that used its flash life in the first 24 hours of operation. That happens. I was paranoid when I was doing my little RGB controllers in the past about overwriting to flash. So every time it wrote to the flash, it would actually flash up a little indicator to show, and it holds the red channel just to show it had done it. Actually, you know what? It blinked out deliberately just to show when it was writing to flash. And it also showed that it had actually written to flash. It didn't do it immediately. Anytime you made a change, it started a timer. And only when you'd stop making changes, after a while, it would just go blip, blip, and it would just save it to flash. It just saved the memory. I distrust the big charities. When the car park is full of Mercs and Beamers, your money is not going to the right place. Bill Richards. There's a charity organisation on the Isle of Man, and I noticed when I passed by that there's a lovely sporty looking car. And there was a sticker in the back of it, that a little sign in the back that said, "Win this car, enter our competition for the charity." The car's still there being driven by the people who own the charity. So I guess nobody won it then, but it was a business expense, so it's a tax write-off as well. Free car, tax write-off. Very suspicious. Many of us have been drinking. My drinking comes later, and the Beelzebub. And all tax-free. United Way takes 60%. Some charities, nothing went to the actual charity. It's usually the ones that are all like, boo-hoo, sob, look at the poor wounded animals, sort of thing like that. Mm. And babies. Wee black babies with flies stuck all over them. That you take a look at the quality of the production of those videos, and they've got all the gear, all the lighting. It's being manufactured to tear jerk money. Omaze, yeah. One of those Omaze type companies approached me wanting me to run an approach promotion to you guys. I just ignored it because, like, screw that. I'm not getting involved in fraudulent charges. People eating tasty animals. Well, it was the best thing for them. Hmm. What's the beep, 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 beep? Or is it something near me? It might be something near you, Andrew Edis. I can't hear beeping. Craig Matthews, don't worry. We've only just started. Aren't flies protein? They are. Delicious, tasty fries. Those wee babies could just go like that. No. I think they need to eat quite a lot of them. But also worth in that the charities that do, well, it's not even a charity. I think it's worth mentioning that pharmaceutical company that does the right thing and actually sends ivermectin to protect against the river blindness. Omaze is a right scam, yes, Simon Reeves. Win this massive luxury house. I wonder if MD ever wins the luxury house. The smoke alarm here is still beeping low battery months after it started. Echo the Husky. That means you should change the battery. Didn't Manny live off bee carcasses and black books? Dunno, the monk. Not sure. That you need to eat quite a lot. Any complaints from Carnes this week? Oh, I'm not sure. I do think I'm being a bit shadow banned on eBay and YouTube at the moment because the viewing figures are down and people have been saying that they've not been getting my videos in their feed. They've had to go to my channel to find if there's any new content. And there's new content every 2 days. What's the best way to repair rip pads on my Nixie tube clock PCB beam? Make sure, particularly plated through holes, don't have any qualms about getting a little bit of wire and jumping to the nearest pad that track that's damaged connects to and basically soldering directly onto the pin if needs be. Sockets are better. It's old smoke detector hiding somewhere in the pile of junk. That is super annoying. Echo the Husky when something in your pile of junk just goes beep every so often and you can't find it because it only goes beep once in a blue moon. I spent ages looking for something that's going in my kitchen. And only when I went into a certain area, it turned out to be the power supply, a charger, but only when it had finished charging, it would just go into that slightly high-pitched modulation as it keeps pulsing on and off. All smoke alarms should be mains operated. To a degree, yes, but more get put in if they're battery operated. And to be honest, with a lithium battery, they should last about 10 years without ever having to worry about the battery, by which time you'd need to change the detector anyway because it'll be all dusted up and, it's better to get a fresh one. They are lifesavers. Get smoke detectors. Even don't buy them off eBay. Buy them from a local known source. They're only £5, £10 each. Put a decent battery in and it's extra security and safety. Sometimes these live streams don't show you have to look for them. The unlisted ones do, Karen Rowley, I know that. But yes, that's how it is. Was there not an Amaze house that was known to regular flooding? Regular flooding of cash, probably, Andrew Littlejohn. I could give a 5-minute rant about why cows should be eaten rather than let go extinct. Then again, I'm a blunt asshole. I'll do it for you. I'm the Beelzebub. If they start manufacturing factory meat where they basically take the cells and they grow them in a growth medium and then you've got basically a factory putting out a continuous conveyor belt of sheets of meat. Suddenly, if they don't need cows anymore, they're not going to just have fields full of cows. They're going to end up just getting rid of them to clear space in the fields and you'll have to go to a zoo to see the last few remaining cows. I said cows, Simon Cowles. Cows. My landlord installed 2 mains and a pair of battery ones. That's reasonable enough. Good enough compromise, Martin Balmforth. The fire brigade in the UK will fit them for free, just call them. I've got one slight problem with that they don't have those fetching yellow PVC leggings that they used to have, Brian Jared. Remember when they just used to give them flammable clothing and completely inadequate protection against combustion? I like the older image. Fireman Sam, I guess, ultimately. My landlord has removed all of the fire extinguishers, Dennis. There's no harm getting your own, if in doubt. The mains are rubbish. Use about a watt an hour, Justin Thomas. Some are very efficient, but also keep in mind they often use capacitive dropper. And that means it looks like it's using a watt, but it's probably really low in the background. But it might just be shit circuitry. Maybe I should get some. Chris Hines, my voice is too deep. I have to change my subwoofer. I can blame you, right? Absolutely. I'm not sure. Oh, Sea Dyke Mike, I had a strange hissing sound in my flat some time ago. Didn't realise what it was until a couple of months later when I saw my tools smeared in circuit board lacquer. The can had leaked. I had that as well. I'd occasionally hear sort of noise, and I couldn't find what it was. And then I found that a can of aerosol flux had actually basically leaked, eaten its way with the acid through the can, and it had just basically squirted out and leaked everywhere. Oh, everything was stuck in it. It was very unpleasant. Terry M, I did fix the defective LED. One cow can feed approximately 1,000 people. That's good. It's also delicious, Neil McLaren. Isle of Man beef is pretty damn good. This is a farming island. So in the same way that France seems to ship all the shit wine out of the country and keep all the best themselves, I get the feeling that happens with meat, because even the most basic meat is really good. Who thought aerosol flux was a good idea? Do you know, Shiro Memes, I used it for a while. It was a disaster. I used it on mains voltage circuit boards. It was a aerosol lacquer that protected the circuit board, also acted as a flux, and you could leave it on. No, not a good idea. Every time someone tosses a can of spray foam into the back of the van and it bursts, yeah. The resources that feeds the cows can feed more people. Not sure I'm not sure what's the most efficient, treasure bloke. And milk as well, keep in mind. Guessing the country that invented aerosol cheese. Brian Cox, we can't get aerosol cheese here, but we get Primula. Did it become resistive? I think it caused problems with hygroscopic behaviour and art tracking. Not great. The Dutch export the top stuff, retain the cheap stuff. Oh, really? Perpetual. Def Palm says, NZ's opposite. It ships out the good stuff and leaves the crap here and then charges us more here for the products that you pay than you pay on the other side of the planet. Do you know, the local fishing industry here, catches queenies and scallops, but they all get shipped out to other countries. They're not, they are available here, but not so many. In fact, during COVID, when they weren't shipping stuff out, the fishermen just basically opened shops on the seafront, and everybody could go and get fresh fish, including lobsters. It's great. Greetings, Mick Spanner. Have I ever seen a fire extinguisher explode? No, I've not. Woofle? Is it woofle time? Woofle time is almost here. I think that clock's running a tiny bit fast by 1 minute. It is running fast by about 1 minute. That's better than fast than slow. Anyway, it is approaching woofle time with this delicate lavender scented bubble bath based woofle liquid. The liquid is going in. It is in. Not a lot of liquid. Activate the... What is that? Oh, I know what that is. That's the COVID test. I didn't put it in the bin. Activate this, but not putting it too close to the microphone. And woofle. Woofling. It is bigger woofles because the foam does appear to be better. Slightly thicker. Before it basically goes out of control and lands down there. Woofle. Fireballs. an extra bass when I blow on that. My brother-in-law used to get boxes of kippers sent from the Isle of Man years ago, Jerry BVR. You can still get kippers posted from the Isle of Man. It's a big industry. Trim makes flash memory last longer. Lee T, is that some way of controlling the number of writes? Can you tell what a Type C lithium ion battery is? I've never heard one described as a Type C, Arion Llewellyn. Not sure about that. What do you use before Grom Beast? If you're talking about a liquid, it was dishwashing liquid. DefPom, the username chat isn't in different colours. It's all grey to me, except yours because you're a moderator. So yours is blue, but it's all grey to me. I'm not sure why that is. GS1512, when the law changed last year, we just changed our unlinked alarms to new 10-year lithium sensors, had to change them with the law to interlinked alarms. Yeah, that's annoying. I feel that some of the things they've done have been pushed through a bit hard. Suppose if they don't, people just wouldn't do it. New shite from China this week. I've got random bits of shite. I've also ordered shite. I've ordered a handy bathtub mounting 3 kilowatt, 240 volt shower unit just to open. I'm not going to actually take it in the bathtub with me. Also, 3 kilowatts is not enough to have a hot shower. It would barely put out a trickle of tepid water. I've also ordered, though, the dangerous caravan gas ones, the ones that gas you with carbon monoxide if you operate them inside the caravan. So they're for outdoor use, is how they get round that. The C rating is the discharge rate, Drone Racer. That would be, yeah. So say, for instance, a 1 amp hour, the charge rating for that would be 1C typically, which would be 1 amp. Surely Type-C just means USB-C. I'm not really sure, not if it just applies directly to a cell, but if it does have the USB-C port, and it could be. Not sure. I did get... Nice. Live stream so we can save you if you gas yourself. I'd need gas for that. I'm really just getting it to open up. Curious, I'll have to look into this colour thing more. Indeed. I've discovered that if you go to my channel page, that the little search box doesn't appear, the little search thing that you can click the magnifying glass. And Mike's Electric stuff said it's off just to the right, but it doesn't appear to me because I've put up shorts, it's expanded that bar a bit, and Chrome just doesn't show that. But if I unzoom the screen, if I press down Control and minus to actually zoom the screen in, then it does appear. It seems to be a slight programming glitch. Is C for coulombs? Well, I don't think so. I think it's just for charge rate or capacity. I'm not really sure. Never really thought about that. I was simplifying. It's all about reducing the abuse of physical sectors. Ah. Is the atomic clock for woofles on this channel? No woofles will happen without official flame of woofle firstly issued by said authority. Liz Edwards, indeed, is the atomic clock of woofles. Although Liz doesn't always turn up. Sometimes Liz sleeps in. I know agreed to be part of experiments, so I get things sometimes ahead of time. That might be it if you get there earlier. Another thing, DefPom, I have to remember and add you to my list of recommended channels because I deleted it accidentally and had to start refilling it. I don't think I put you on it. I'm going to have to check that. Type-C shape of the battery? Not sure. Chrome sucks, Firefox for life. Well, it's a Chromebook, so there's not really much choice. The Chromebook's been very reliable. Scott Bagley, the new year is going okay, indeed. Has YouTube had a big update recently? Seems like a lot of new features popping up. They're always making changes. Do you reckon the extra expense the Dubai-style LED lamps are worth it compared to standard? Look, come on. The ones they sell in the UK and America have a slight greenish tint. If they sell them in America, which is a bit odd. It's supposed to be eye-friendly, just optimized for sight, for comfort. But it's one of these things that because of different colour, your parents may be used to golden glows, so it might be better going with standard lamps then. The sort of like the orangey traditional warm white. See what they want. A battery that is 2000 milliamp hour that can deliver 10C means it can handle 20 amp draw indeed. If it's any consolation, I can see the search icon on both your channels. I just wish I could see it, Scott, because often someone says, have you got a video about this? And I'm thinking, I do. And I go to my own channel and want with an intent to search and I can't find the search thing. Now I know how to get it back. It's a little glitch. It's a little thing. Your eyes are very sensitive to blues and greens. The peak of sensitivity is in sort of yellowish greenish area. Burnt Electronics says, I miss sodium lamps. Many people say this, but that's just because you grew up with them. I prefer the LED lights, although is it New Zealand where they're actually falling off the poles and landing on the ground and they're quite heavy because they're cracking? You promised street lighting video upcoming, Palmet. That will potentially happen, yes. I have to clear the larger workbench area, which is covered in stuff. Every surface is covered in stuff. YouTube used to use 100% of the first core. It's gone better now. And the Beelzebub is doing quite a lot. If I need to find no video of mine, do it through Studio in the content page. That's reasonable enough. That is a sensible approach. Searching at the top. They like the warm white ones I got, so probably stick with those then. Indeed, Lucamon. But go for the lower power ones. Don't go for too high a power. In fact, you know what would be quite handy? If they're needing extra light, you could get one of these, which is the adapter that lets you plug one in and have lots and lots of lamps in the one socket. This one came all chaffed from China, all ground and mashed up in the end. And I was thinking, oh, it's been damaged in post. Or has it? Because here's the bag it came in with the nice hole that it's ground through, and it's covered in sticky labels, and the labels are the exact same ones as the address labels. So when they've been shipping this out from China, there's a very good chance they've just said, oh, they're whole, we just put sticker over it and send it anyway. Thanks, China. It's all ground up. It's been sitting on a conveyor belt, mincing away somewhere. Have you guys seen those people filming themselves in Amazon's warehouses? It's very repetitive work. The guys that are just basically, the automated things are coming along with the goods in them. People must be putting it into, they must be in this main factory bit with these mobile racks, just basically getting them out the robots will fetch the tray, they'll grab one and stick it in the appropriate rack. And there's a projector that's just going whoop, 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 with a wee sort of window saying it's this one. And you take the item out, you scan it, and it lights a light to show which box to put it in. You put it in the box and press the button to show you put it in the box, and then it comes up the next item. When it's enough, when it turns orange, you just push the box onto the conveyor. Or if it's too full, you just push the box onto the conveyor and it gives you another one and it knows. It's very clever, but wow. Human robots. LED street lights are often poorly designed, have high glare. Echo the Husky, they're actually a lot better than the first ones. They've got very interesting lens systems. Okay, sometimes the phosphor falls off them. It looks so destroying in Amazon, Franco Walker. It's the sort of job that if you had technical hobby, you could just basically just be a robot all day while thinking of nice technical things, and then you got home and then engage in your hobby. Some people that are super technical would still do that job just because it doesn't involve stress, it doesn't involve pressure, other than just basically keeping up. Computer says you are too slow. I have LED streetlight, it's fecking bright. You're not supposed to look into it, Palmet. Should be allowed to piss in the tote box once a day, Brian Cox. Maybe they do that. Cut your hair, you look like a bum. I am a bum. A tramp. The hair's getting quite long. Ferric chloride is an escape artist. It depends what you put it in, Tom Houston. I've got ferric chloride through there in a big plastic container and it's fine. It does basically stain everything. Deffarm says, we have started going to LED streetlights. Some that got put in about 3 years ago are about half as bright as they used to be. Yeah, another thing is, They just fixed one of the street lights recently and put a new high pressure sodium lamp in. Now that pinky orangey glow. And I was thinking if they'd put an LED in that one, I mean, that one is going to last for 5 years, 10 years, that lamp. LED, 1 year, and then you change the whole fixture. It's just not efficient. Craig Matthews, I have a 100 watt actual output LED torch fucking bright too. That's just pointless, the torch, because it's just going to eat the batteries. But it's useful. I used to play songs in my head to stay awake making car parts. Chen North Airguns. Did you get to wear... I wonder if you're allowed to wear headphones. No, probably not at Amazon because it goes diddle diddle when you actually scan the wrong... You take... Sometimes they put multiple items in the thing, and if they take the wrong one out and scan it, because it's just an anonymous box, it goes diddle, and you put it back in again. I'm a delivery driver for Amazon. I work by myself and it's fine for me. Sometimes a little lonely, but I can listen to whatever I want all day. And you get to drive about. For some people, that would suit them to a T, Robert Woodsall. It's very active as well, because you're always running about, jumping out the van and delivering. They don't pay enough for one to stress out, Natasha Timmons. I've been thinking of having a survey on the channel, a little poll, of people who have taken a job below their skill level deliberately, just because it was less stressful. Because there's no reward for being a gaffer. There's no reward for being a foreman and taking charge of sites at all. All you get is loads of stress, and you get to take your job home with you and worry about it all night. Been there. It'll be fascinating how long LED bulbs will last. Current them to the capacitor when they've been doobied, burnt out electronics. Well, I've got a little LED lamp up here, which has been running for a decade, continually, 24/7, because the first thing I did, I wanted a little ambient light in the house, and it's a downlight on its own, and I just hacked it, put a lower value capacitor in it, so it really underruns the LEDs. Maybe I should refresh it, put a new one in. David Collins, Cuba, I really do hate the stress of the job. The job shouldn't carry that much stress. John Hughes, screw being a supervisor if the money is not there. Absolutely. It's not even worth the money. You take a lot of responsibility. And you've got people that are working and you're in charge of them that just basically they're lazy bastards and they push you about, and I'm not really good at man management, so that's no good for me. The person who taught me most about man management and threw me in at the deep end was Vince, the crew chief, who's kind of made me more authoritative. As I get older, it's easier. Ever help run a country, even a small one? The worst thing is that the useless people are running the countries because the useful people are too busy working. Mouse says, I worked for less than I could ask for because I like the project. It's, a lot of people do that. Clive is starting to resemble Vivian Stanshaw. What? James Speakin? What? I don't even know who that is. Indeed, Clive, I do a job that doesn't challenge that much, but does allow me to use my troubleshooting skills. I don't handle stress too well, and life's too short for that shit. None of us does. The technical people are shit at dealing with the stress. They take it too seriously. It just eats at your brain. There's a thing called job satisfaction. It's a battle that many workers are too scared to even consider. Palmet. It's like people who work in amusement arcades or the maintenance guys in 10-pin bowling places. They don't get paid much, but they like the job and they get to play with big technical toys, so that's fine. Working below your level can be stressful too. You can see better ways to do things. And the management of, to a degree, Kimball Dunster, but you can often do things behind the scenes. And don't tell the manager you're going to do it, just fucking do it. It's much easier to apologise later than it is to ask permission in the first place. And there's nothing like stress to actually make it harder to work. And basically, you're trying to solve problems, and the more stress you're put under, the more of a deadline there is, the harder it is. That's when things go a bit pear-shaped. Is low stress tolerance a tech thing or autism? Probably autism, Shinra. But then autism and technical go hand in hand, don't they? I'm the same, I'm a clear, enjoy my job, nice and flexible, and gives me a good amount of time to tinker away from work. See, that's the way to do it, Stephen D. Brown. A nice, simple day job and loads of time in your workshop in the evening. Particularly if you're single or have low expectations like me, you don't need much money to get by. Ola Hammerstrom. After many years of work here in scissor lifts and cherry pickers, I actually got certified from the last week. About time with fines hiked to astronomical levels. Whoa. See, that's something that would worry me, working in cherry pickers, because makes me think of that Genie cherry picker that had been fitted with a retrofit limiting kit to limit the arc it travels. A young mechanic went up to test it, and he was testing the limit, went over the limit, and the thing fell over into the path of vehicles, and he died, unfortunately. Not great. Shinra, stress turns me into like Laurel and Hardy fella. DCL, and that's now walk away. Absolutely. I don't like responsibility. The older I get, the less I want responsibility. My landlord bought hundreds of those compact fluorescent lamp bulbs in a big box in the attic. Probably because, happy little fox, A.K. Benji, they were getting them for nothing with the new energy-saving incentives. I've got loads of them. Leon Piper's about 25 years ago, we were at a project that ended, we were terminated and played Doom in the Network with 4 players at the same time. Okay. Red Fan was department manager at Walmart over hardware, paint and auto. They would always take my associates for other things and told me that if things didn't get done, it's on me. I've done that in the past. Crew being taken off the job that I really needed and then being berated for not achieving the requirements. Scruff Dog, I'm a certified MOOP safety trainer. That's big money over here. It's called iPath over here, and it's licensed to print money. Mine is expired. I'm not playing their game anymore. It's like being forced to resit your driving test every 5 years, except it's pretty basic questions. The first time I attended iPath, the trainer did the slideshow that says, don't touch overhead lines or drive over big, huge holes in the road. It's like, just the basic stuff. But then after he'd finished the slideshow, he continued with another slideshow, which was showing his big, huge mansion he'd just bought and the luxury car because he was making so much money out of training. Thanks. That's good. Do you know, 2 of the other people that were on that job were, there were 3 of them. They were with a plumbing company, including the apprentice electrician with that plumbing company, and just chatting to them. It turned out there were no electricians in the plumbing company, just the apprentice, and from day one, he'd been doing electrical work on his own with no previous experience. And he said it was really scary at first. He had to find books to find out what to do. And it's like, that's modern training. I just wish I could slibber one of those Furple doublers. They're great, Fortescue Gimlet. I like cherry pickers. Box ticking. Transfer of liability. Did you hear about the building company who got fined $106,000 by the HSE for using a telehandler as an access platform? They do it here. They actually have telehandlers here with the actual cage on them for that purpose. Shirts, brown cocks, what? Trainer's probably Tony Blair's cousin. It's all corruption. It is corruption. Training, it's de-skilling. Am I having one great big rant here? Anyway, change of subject. I got some new 3D printer filament today. No, not a sponsor. 3DQF. Made in the UK. Comes in a cardboard reel, which is quite unusual. A laser cut cardboard reel, which is just a little bit too thick actually, because it doesn't quite sit on the FL Sun Q5. It still rolls in it though, so it's fine. But it's interesting. Unusual that it's made in Britain, but then again you consider that it weighs a lot. It's a kilogram or so per package. So it makes sense to be able to actually Do that. Clive rant, no, that Fran. See, Fran is the advantage there, DC, on that Frant. There's no convenient Frant equivalent for Big Clive. 3D Queef, that's it. Matt England. Ola Hammerstrom, the lift training course, they of course showed mad examples like a scissor lift max out in the bucket of a front loader. Absolutely. It's like the safety officers just literally wet their pants when they see someone standing on top of a ladder. Oh, must get a photo from my course. Wankers. Is that recycled filament? No, it's not. I don't think it's recycled filament. I think it's all fresh, raw, virgin materials, as they say. But it's available in quite a huge range of colours. Because being a small company in small batches, what colour filament? I got matte black. I wouldn't say it's super matte black. The filament itself looks matte black, but the actual print is well, I'll go and get it. Hold on. I thought a suitable test print would be a black, so it's kind of matte-ish. Keep in mind this is the surface that was down on the glass just because of the way it prints. It's not bad. It's a matte-ish, what you'd really expect. I mean, you don't get glossy prints out of 3D printers. But it printed fine. Drink. You know what? I'm out of coffee, so it is time to drink, and then you know what happens. Matte filament sucks because of bad layer adhesion. This stuff's fine. Yeah, this stuff's okay. What's your printer, Clive? Lee T, it's an FL Sun Q5 at the moment. Not perfect. You do if you do temp towers, Weaselbox. I've not really done, I've done some, I've got the file for temp towers. Can you put a link to it, please, Brian Pearls? Do you mean the filament? If you look online for 3DQF, you should find it. 3DQF, 3D quality filaments. I've got some radiator paint for my vintage Czechoslovakian vacuum cleaner. What a sentence. Indeed, Shinra 18. That's quite odd. Oh, I got a new vacuum. Red prints faster. Does it? Do you have to do it in stripes though, Verdewolf? CNC Kitchen did a good video on pigments affecting the strength 3D printer filament, and Richard, there was another one on how black can be one of the more destructive filaments because the carbon loading in it actually eating away at the nozzle. The answer there is just to change it every so often. I have negative lag, 2153. The clock may just be a little tiny bit ahead. I was being trained in hospital IV pumps. They're scary, garbled user, because of a mistake and they can pump the whole lot in. The person who's training was the guy who designed the pump, and he so much already knew. Oh, hold on. It just jumped. About the pumps, he had me help teach the class. That's reasonable enough. Something very important. If you go to these one-day training courses and they start just talking shit and you don't ever point out, because A, you're training them for free, and B, they'll possibly fail you because you actually questioned their authority. Seen that happen. So you just keep your mouth zipped and just go with it. You're there just to tick the box and get the wee plastic certificate that lets you work. Cura. That's what I do use, Cura. If you get a new 3D printer, what would you buy? I do like the Delta 3D printers, but do you know, one of the most appealing things to print at the moment is my own script for making sign letters, and really a square platform like Big Box, Little Box is going to be the best option for that, for the largest size of letters like M's, and well, the O's are fine in the round build plate because the Delta printers tend to print in a round bed, and it just limits it a bit. So I'm not really sure what I'd buy. I keep getting offered them to review, but I'm not really into reviewing things. Oh, the update, the man who died under a urinal, Pugster Josh. I will wait until it all comes out. But there was someone with him, and he went underneath the modern ones have what they call an escape tunnel, which is just a void that you can drop down into if it comes down. This one didn't have it. And when it started going down, because he was cleaning under it, his co-worker shouted up to them, just stop it coming down. And the co-worker couldn't for some reason. And that was the co-worker who went for assistance. It is confirmed rather predictably that the pressure, it was basically he asphyxiated because he couldn't breathe under the pressure of it pressing down him. I prefer to prototype my 3D prints in white. I can't see details otherwise. Reasonable enough, Tom Houston. Is a lot of difference between film and print quality? Yes. Rifle Man, the worst thing is getting the filament from eBay, and you order what you think is one thing and you get what they wanted to send that doesn't really look like the picture, and you get a roll of generic filament. And as soon as moisture hits it, it just starts splintering, cracking into lots of little segments that can snap while it's printing and then just result in a bad print. That's the most annoying thing. Fortunately, you can then buy a little heater for your filament to dry it out from the same sellers to make it look as though you can make their shit filament work, sort of thing like that. Anyway, yes. But different filaments, you get different materials. Each has its own characteristic. The temp tower, for those wondering, it prints the temperature and then does various things like an overhang and stuff like that. And then it prints the next layer and it embeds the sort of like the temperature it printed at. And it indicates the stringing and also how well it actually prints specific shapes. It takes a while to print one. Eddie Munster worked for a medical company and they used forklifts to put the pallet trucks into the back of chair to move the pallets. Once they'd often attempt the face, investigation found him at fault. He must have done the one-day course. For those who have an Ender 3 Pro, Dylan Davis says, 3D printer, you can actually swap the motherboard for their upgraded one. It makes the printer much, much quieter somehow. Probably down to the stepper motor drivers being sort of wave drive as opposed to pulse drive. eBay isn't worth bothering with now. It is to a degree, but it's so much scummy stuff in it, Tony Weaver. It's extraordinary how much crap there is in eBay. GS1512 is a horrible death, particularly given the skankiness of that drop-down pillar thing. Horrible. Will you buy the CNC machine that cut wood, plastic, metal, or will you build one? I'm not really into that. It's just going to be quite messy. I do fancy one of what they call the fiber lasers, which are usually not fiber lasers, but with the galvanometer deflector on it, so it can actually scan. I like the idea of burning off coatings of circuit board etch resist to actually do proper etch circuit boards, but really fast and accurately. 3D printers are such exciting Jetsons tech. They are Weaselbox. You take them for granted these days. Buttons and lifts don't do anything. They do, tools. The buttons and lifts do things, but some of them can be programmed. Like the door close button may be programmed not to close the door, to stop Karen's pushing it, which is annoying because sometimes a Karen's coming, you want to push it and close the door before she gets there. I couldn't get the Neon Sign script to produce a printable model. Mark Gibson, that's odd. Strange. Is that the one I put up on Patreon, the one I linked to? I think it would take a bit of getting used to. How much can you see without your glasses, Clive? I take the glasses off and I can't read the text on the screen. It's just grey lines. With some of them are blue, but mainly grey lines. I can't read anything. And it's back. Talk about train, Clive. I saw on the side of a can of Builder's foam that you would have to be trained the use of it. The word's gone crazy. Richos UKRC. Do you know, the last time I was working on sites, you couldn't use a pair of steps. Do you know the standard fold-out steps that you go up a few rungs to work on trunking or containment of some type? You're not allowed to use them until they're really desperate. They want to use a one-man scaffold, which is just... I've got issues with that if someone was working and something became live, like metalwork became live, you're trapped by a wee metal frame that you can't actually escape from it. But the other thing is that if you, at the end of the job, when they're in panicking, you have to go in and sign statements, and then they'll give you a high vis that says step certified, and you're allowed to use the steps then. It's just scummy as fuck. It's horrible. Really unpleasant. BRM bug. Dumb electrical question. I saw a vintage fluorescent lit clock, 110 volt, in an antique shop that had what looked like a varistor sewed across the plug blades. Would that actually do anything? The metal oxide varistor could be put across the plug blades to protect against transients if it was causing problems with the circuitry failing in them. That might be why they did it. It's not ideal just to put it straight across. Because when a metal oxide varistor fails, it can actually go sort of low resistance and it starts burning up. But the vintage fluorescent clock would probably have a little transformer in it. It was probably neon. Maybe not. Red Fan, they make metal desiccant cans now that fit in the middle of the spool. That's quite handy. You can just pop in the oven and recharge. Do you know something I've toyed with trying is using the Rossal electronic dehumidifier in one of the cases. I've got some storage boxes with the lids that clip on, but I put foam tape round them to seal it, and I've got another little 3D printed thing. I'll show you a little 3D printed thing. It's a tiny little frame like this that screws on the inside of the box, and then you basically slot a humidity gauge down into it, and that then holds it up against the face of the box so that you can see from the outside what the humidity is inside it. But I use bags of the desiccant in that. Chocolate filament would be nice. Well, they do have chocolate printers, Vera de Wolf. And when Mauve blows, it will push the plug out of the socket and you just wrap it in the pins before you plug it in. Indeed. You should make your own funny high-vis notepad certified or something. I could get a high-vis notepad, Siboney. He is often one. Am I often one right now? Where are you in the stream? I was often one earlier on. I don't think I'm on often one now, Arthur Two Sheds Jackson. Jaeger time. It is Jaeger time. So, to 3D quality filaments for having the balls to set up a manufacturing plant in the UK for actually making 3D printing filament. And also to the local place, the local shop this home called Design Hub that sells it. I bought that filament locally, and it was only about 17 or 18 pounds for a roll, which is favourable to eBay. Martin Bamforth, my computerized version ashing machine went senile this week and could not be repaired. Is it completely not repairable? Foam tape is reusable. It's a brilliant idea. Well, the way I put the foam tape round the top of the box, so when you put the lid on, you have to push down a bit harder before it clicks, and it just makes it airtight. Concrete printers as well, they look quite messy. And they tend to print round houses. Have you seen the people printing basically domes? And it's like, I'm not sure that's useful. Black, my local store can't afford 800 or so new CR2032 batteries for electronic price tags. It's a bit sad. I think they probably can. They just don't want to. They can buy them in bulk. They're not £1 each. They're like, if you look at CPC in the UK, their own brand of the CR2032s, you can buy them in bulk. Be able to print anything. It's very handy, Weaselbox. Very handy. Hive is in the woods, Mr. Eggcake. Well, the lumberjacks do. The best beard, other than mine, obviously, at the local gym is a lumberjack. £16 a roll, Signal Green. The NICEIC do some nice courses. They do, including your one-day safe electrical isolation that lets you use labourers to do electrical work. That is correct. MD can go in it. They also do the electric car charging station courses, and no previous experience is needed. But we do recommend it. Well, fuck yeah. Adam, £16 roll locally for 3DQF signal green. See, this is all good prices, and so far I've only done a few prints of that, and no problems. It's fine. Mark Gibson, there's UK filament maker which makes a filament with 60% recycled plastic. That great filament. Oh, okay. Wonder who that is. It's one of these things that it's a high enough volume thing because people are buying the printer filament all the time, and it's heavy, so it doesn't make sense to. There's extra shipping costs for shipping it internationally. Silica cat litter. See, I've tried that. I didn't find it was as good as actual silica gel, Alan Hunter. I know waiting to the postman, absolutely. Although I do have to say that popping down to the local design hub, because it's on the Isle of Man, it's not always open. Their hours are just suiting the lower turnover of people. $27.50 for 1 kilogram PLA in the Netherlands, including shipping. See, that's quite expensive, Peter Grandman. Just ordered a roll, $16.99 from eBay. Aha. Can we make watch the hours round clock? The turtle moves. No, all hours are round clock. Brad Robsham, my gran gets to 100. She wants a leather duvet and a robotic man. Right. Wouldn't that shag her to death or something? I'm not really sure. Sounds dangerous. Just make sure it's well loaded up with lube, probably. Echo the Husky, I use a solitaire game on my phone to get to sleep at night. You can 5 CR2s at around 60 pence for 5. They're not too expensive, but if you're getting one for your the CR232s, if you're getting one for your car key fob, get a better quality one because they've got lower impedance and it'll work better for those applications. Dave's a 3D printer hater. Red Fallon. Dave just needs to discover OpenSCAD because he's old school coding, isn't he? So I think he'd click with that. He did get the resin one to review, but they didn't send him any resin, so he had to buy the expensive resin. He didn't seem that happy. I've used 3DQF since I got my printer, and so far quite nice compared to a lot of sample filaments I've tried. That's reasonable. That's good to know, Adam. Yes, I'm just looking for things I can actually say. What's the largest height you can print on your printer? Not sure. I don't think I printed up that high. Probably about 150 millimeter, I think. I'm not sure. Takaberry, I've just completed my 2-day electric vehicle training, now safe to work up to 1000 volts EVs. Does that mainly involve knowing where the isolator is and wearing big rubber gloves, probably, and not shorting out the connectors? I cut a tray out of a food dehydrator for drying filament. That's reasonable enough. I've got a little yogurt thing here that would almost fit a filament, roll of filament. You know, that might actually, I'll just dust it off. It's a yogurt fermenter thing that I just thought for a while it would be quite good and had other uses. It's basically, I think I've opened this up, haven't I? It had heater tape in it. This looks as though it would hold. I think it's just basically too shallow for a roll of filament. Excuse me 1 minute. That's big enough for a roll of filament, isn't it? And that's the size of jar. Yeah, that should actually hold a roll of filament. Well, I'll keep that in mind. This could have been my filament dryer. For those who are not aware of such things, PLA and other plastics, PETG, can absorb moisture if left out in open air, and it means that when you put it through the printer, say for instance you had a clear filament that should should print fairly transparent objects, they come out a bit white and foamy instead because the moisture's bubbling out. Then what's your yogurt maker? The yogurt maker just basically heats. You put your milk and yogurt stuff in it, and basically it keeps it warm and it ferments and does its yogurt type thing. Have you tried Altec 3D filament? I've not. The worry is when you go, I tend to buy stuff online, get it shipped here, and it's finding reputable sellers online that don't ship you just whatever they have. The Chinese, the eBay sellers, a lot of them use very deceptive listings and then ship the same stuff every time. Shall not tell him, Clive, stay safe. I'm off to other things I have to deal with. Good night. Good night to you. Does a filament come sealed? It comes in vacuum sealed bags, Monkey Man here, with silica gel granules. You're not by. I have a question to ask you, Big Clive. What's the difference between single phase and three phase power? It was single phase, I misspelled two phase. Single phase, in the UK, our typical distribution system is supposed to be in the European standards 230/400, but traditionally it's 240/415. And what that means is you've got the three phases, and each of them is 240 volts to neutral or ground. But if you go between two phases, it's 415 volts. And in the case of, it's a standardized system. You've got factory, you've got houses. The houses just get neutral and a single phase. The factories get all three phases and neutral. Lactic acid bacteria are the real heroes. Yogurt maker just gets them warm enough to start working. Indeed, pseudomemes. If you go between two phases, it hurts. It's quite hard to get in between two phases. Usually you have to be holding a cable when someone else turns it on for some inexplicable reason. But it can happen. Never done that. I have had migraines in the past. Got a lot when I was young. Pooch maxi. It was crippling. Ralph always chose that time to practice his violin, which was excruciating. My Ninja air fryer is a dehydrate setting. Could this be another use of the air fryer? You'd not want to get oil on your filament, probably. It might damage the adhesion aspect from just residual oil used in it. And also, it'd have to be quite low temperature. The little heater I've got that does it, the little filament dryer, heats up to about 55 degrees Celsius, I think. How often should you dry out silica gel packs that come with filament? It's helpful if they get little indicators on them, the ones that are coloured. And I did notice that little sachet that came with the 3D QF filament, well, it did have the colour beads in it. That's why I use this little thing in, you could put these in packets as well, but this is why I use it in my filament storage container. How tall are you, Clive, and how tall is Ralphie? I'm the tallest Sea of Clay. I'm 6'4". Not sure what height Ralph is. Colin Rowley, I had to argue with Scottish Power to come out when I couldn't charge my van as I had 259 volt. Really? And it actually stopped it charging. Turned out there's a problem with the yellow tap at the HV substation. Oh, the actual voltage tapping on it. Maybe they'd put it up because there was a very high load on that phase. Did you get rid of them when you got older? Pooch Maxi, the migraines just stopped happening after a while, which is a relief, because when they happened, they were terrible. Our old factories had two benches, 240 volts each from different phases. Sockets were close enough to get a 415 shock if one was unlucky enough to sat by both at the same time. You would be having to try that, though, Sam Reeves. There was a regulation, which they've just forgotten now, that said in the theatre industry, the lighting bars, adjacent sockets couldn't be in different phases along the bar. The whole bar had to be one phase, which wasn't practical because you have what are called patch panels that you could generally use plugs to patch each individual light position in random bars into a dimmer. But the reality is that the bar was earthed. To get an electric shock of 415 volts, you'd have had to open two lights simultaneously and poke your fingers into the lamp holder. It was just dreamed up by Karens. It was nonsensical. It was one of those random rules. You also, in the UK, if you've got more than one phase in a switch box, you have to put a sticker on it that says 415 volts inside this switch box. But the risk of actually getting between the phases is quite low. It's more useful to know that there are multiple feeds going to a switch box. But then again, that's what your test lamps are for. I made a box, dry box. You need amalgamated handle tape and a box that seals you pull the handles up. Ah, treasure bloke. Jesus says, is there anything that says I can't rectify then reinvert my incoming main supply so it doesn't have to be in sync with the grid? No, you could do that, but there'll be losses involved if you do so. I can't imagine why you'd want to do that. Theory to Jim, has anyone noticed how quiet US is over what was shot over Alaska? Then look at a channel called GPSL Live. This sounds like something for a corridor crew to debunk if it's spaceships. Do you have three-phase in residential? If I want to, Will the Cat, I can ask and get three phases here, but there's not practical. It'd be a lot more cost getting a three-phase supply in, an ongoing, the cost of getting it in, then the cost every month of actually having industrial supply. They may also introduce stricter requirements on load balancing, spreading load across the phases, and also power factor. It's not UFO, amateur radio balloons. Ah, right, okay. Not the Chinese ones, then. China's a dickhead. Do you want to see America? Evans Yellow. Yeah. Oh, they shot their balloon down. They basically burst China's balloon. Oh, what? Who cares? What was it going to do? It's not Chinese. People are putting. I wonder how many people have just randomly. Balloons will be the latest thing. They'll be shooting down weather balloons left, right, and centre. Wee Billy will be running on the balloon and someone will come up and burst it and say it's because it was Chinese spy balloon. Yes, I'm going to go and get beer. I could go into the local florist, just go around bursting all the balloons and then just pretend, just go, they were Chinese spy balloons, they were spying on us. Yes. And just, that look awkward. Yes, that's actually anti-mental disability, isn't it? That's inappropriate. Maybe put up my own spy balloon. Does this mean we're allowed to actually shoot at hot air balloons now? I'm not really sure. They don't burst so satisfying. The Pentagon confirmed it was a spy balloon and that China has been spying on 40 countries. I think you'll find the Pentagon just says whatever they want, to be honest. Red Dead Forest inadequately politically correct for 2023 it is. Do a whole stream, do a whole channel like that. Two things have been coming to mind for videos. Do you ever 3D print nylon ABS conductor films? I don't really do the exotic ones. The closest I've got is the clear PETG. No, I've not really got, and what's the flexible one, the sort of rubbery one? But no, I tend to just use PLA, it's the easiest. Will it have a beard? I've forgotten what I was talking about now. But anyway, other channels. Other video ideas. One of them is to actually basically make a video of a UVC tube lit and then ask people to leave messages in the comments if they experienced eye irritation or skin irritation from it. I think that'd be quite funny. What's the bet that a lot of people would say yes, they had? And some people would actually report it for causing a video that caused eye irritation. The other thing I fancy doing is a fake video in the style of many of the somebody gets this thing in and they fix it, you know, this play game thing, and it's faulty. Let's see if I can fix it. But everything's done in reverse. Have you seen that they find the faulty component and there's signs of soldering around it? And it's pretty clear that the video has been made in reverse, that they start the end of the video where they go, oh yes, it's working, is actually the start of the video. That's the first thing they filmed. And then they went in and did something to it. And then they're like, oh, let's open it up or try it out. No, it's not working. Let's open up and see if we can find the problem. Oh, that looks suspicious. Yes, it is, because it's very clear you've done it. Quite a lot of those videos happening online. I might make a fake video about that. Oh, the jump cuts when they say, okay, that's it, complete, let's try it out and see if it works. And then there's a jump cut because it didn't work, did it? Toolstage got the brother printer for £69 was £109. They often have these discounts, Topaz. The great news is you can get cheap label material online. It's not too bad. The fake restoration videos, yeah. And the phone, repairing the phone that's all covered in mud and broken and bent and double. And somehow they fix it because, well, at the end of the video when they made it, that's when it was all broken and snapped and covered in mud because it started off as a perfectly working phone. Yeah, but hey, they got a lot of views. It just feels like it cheapens the technical channels. I just leave all my mistakes in because, you know, mistakes happen. It's funny when they happen. It's like if something doesn't work, I think it's good to show what actually happened and why it didn't work. I've had a few of those. There was the one where I got the polarity wrong. The video just ended because red was actually negative and black was positive, and I connected it up, red and black, positive and negative correctly, and it just let out the smoke, made a pop and didn't work again. Absolutely, Katrina. When you're doing technical stuff, it never, particularly if you're designing stuff, it never quite works right. It's suspicious if you write a bit of software because everything has to be tuned. It won't necessarily work right first time. I used to go straight to copper for a while and successfully, but the software, it's very rare, but sometimes it does. You write a bit of code and it just works first time. That's quite nice. What channels you watch, Clive? I'm not going to name those channels, Electro Kev, because that would be almost like promoting them. But I try to avoid, you can spot those channels. So the channels I do watch, I watch the proper, real technical channels. Gandalf, very occasionally I will open something before starting recording just to know where I stand before I open it. But a lot of them are raw. They're like, particularly ones you have to break open. I don't even do the buying two thing. But anyway, that's that. Ah, Joe's here from HVACR North. But the deliberately spoofed channels are quite funny. This is Asahi Dry Lager. I'm trying to cut down the lager consumption. I just had a binge of having a few cans of lager every night. The weight just went boom. So back onto diet cream soda with high potency spirit in it. Moonshine. I wonder if China sells spy balloons. Maybe I'll get some big balloons and just send them up with wee things, a wee box, and it goes bing. Is that Indian beer? Asahi? I think that's a Japanese beer. Very dry, very unsweet is what they mean by that. Drink spirits, Clive, lower calories. Spirits with small quantity of spirit, large quantity of diet cream soda. And the cola can through there, yes. Gates Linux. I'm glad we filmed that. When that went wrong. Thank you for both technical vids as well as these live streams. Thank you, Jace Colony. Much appreciated. Secondhand is the way to go in terms of technical stuff. A third object was shot down. Oh, they're on a roll now. Are they just shooting stuff down? We need projects using empty beer cans, cantenas. I'm not really sure what you use them for. Acai is good with sushi. Well, anything's good with sushi. Sushi's good, Jeffrey. Cody has been having fun at Ski-Doo. All right, okay, Mike Hanley. I've not taken a look at Cody's channel recently. Acetylene-filled balloons. That will definitely be exciting to shoot down. But the snag is you'd need a helium balloon to lift the acetylene balloon. And then fill it with stuff that made them all panic and think it was a chemical attack. Eddie Munster, is it made from rice? I didn't know it was made from rice. It's not going to give any information about this. Ingredients: water, barley malt, cornstarch, maize, hops, and rice. It does have some rice in it. There is a yeast. Is it angel yeast? You can buy on eBay, I think. You can just basically put raw rice, just cold, without boiling it first. You can just put raw rice in water and it'll ferment it. Send up a low voltage UV light to repair the ozone layer. It doesn't work like that, Tinkerbot. The ozone layer actually works by splitting oxygen molecules apart into atoms and then recombine them as ozone, and then another wavelength breaks them apart and recombines them as oxygen. And it's a continuous transition between oxygen and ozone that actually absorbs the different wavelengths of ultraviolet light. Quite complex. We're watching on a cinema screen in Old Chapel, says Richard Harmon. Then I shall have to be careful about saying unreligious things. Budweiser's made with rice, is it? Dave Ward says, I made it. You made it to the stream, you mean? Acetylene is slightly lighter than air, is it, Bob S? Didn't know that. Acetylene balloons are cool when you burn them. I'm not sure I'd call it burning, James Randolph. I'd call it explosions. But yes, sake is made with rice, ELW. Climb Chapel don't mix. No, they don't. HVACR North. I'm a sinner. I'm born in sin. I've got the Bible through there, but it's not loaded. It's not a real Bible. It upset the people when I showed it. It's a stunt Bible that burst into flames. Can you get the voice changed like Helium? Did that, actually, DC Allen. I wouldn't recommend it with acetylene. Definitely don't do it with acetylene. Don't breathe acetylene in. That would be bad. If it detonated in some way in your lungs, that would be death. But I did the helium thing with June and Kevin in one of the NBC streams. Now, Mike Barashock. A friend of mine did use a helium balloon to loft a bag of acetylene. An RC receiver wired to model rocket igniter. Air Force visited him in less than 2 hours. Did the Air Force really visit him? Would they be able to see where it came from? Not so sure, but it would be fun. Big, huge airborne kaboom. Are you having beer, HVACR North, Joe? It's not stunt Bible. They all do that under the right conditions. Graham Shaw, just me holding one would probably do that. Acetylene is usually dissolved in acetone inside the cylinder. I think it is Will the Cat to make it stable because it's got a self-critical mass that it will detonate. It's pretty dangerous. Is it woofle time? Gates Linux. It is woofle time. Anyone try the Guinness at 0? Is that alcohol-free Guinness? There is no point. And not unless you reinforce it with moonshine and turn it back into alcoholic Guinness. Wolflin. I've seen the alcohol-free gin locally. At more or less the same price as actual gin. That doesn't seem like good value. And it's just going to taste like herbal water. Wolflin. Oh, quite scary, that one. That's good. Ah. Clive is life-size on the cinema screen, says Richard Hammond. Aha, Harmon. Beard is looking impressive. It's looking... Yeah, am I needing more dye yet? Because the white's creeping back in. It's not all white yet. It's just this bit down here, so yeah. Maybe I'll just let it go stripy. What's the fucking point of alcohol-free? And it's as expensive as alcohol, DCL, and it's just so, oh, I'm drinking gin. No, you're not. It's water. I have bought alcohol-free wine in the past to try it, and then it was all right. It tasted like vegetable juice. Add the alcohol back, and it suddenly turns back into wine, which is quite good. Inhaling Freon could cause heart rhythm issues. Not a good idea. Not a great idea. Depending on the Freon, it can also cause asphyxiation because you don't know you're breathing it in. It doesn't trigger the carbon dioxide is needed to trigger the need for. That's how humans regulate their breathing. So if you breathe nitrogen or Freon, you don't know that there's no oxygen in the air. Your brain's quite happy. It's saying, yeah, everything's fine, although, I'm getting a bit lightheaded. That's how one of Husman's guys died, working a case in a supermarket, and just basically, he was leaning into it, looking for a leak, and just fell asleep into the case, and that was it. You can't be a wise old grey beard if you diet. I know, Dave Pooh, but it's just that thing that, kind of like the darker coloured beards. But you know what? Yes, grey has its place. It was all right when it was two white plumes like that, but now it's all closing in now. I just kind of thought I'd dye it. I like use of red and blue with green on top. Laurie 21. Red and blue with green on top. Which is that? Nigel's used in Australia for final exit purposes. Ref man, I'm aware of that. Yeah, the exits, they're horrible. It's there's a thing called the exit hood, and it's a plastic bag you put over your head and they put nitrogen into it, and then it's goodbye cruel world. It's like for assisted suicides. It's pretty horrible. I suppose it's more dignified than helium, because then you'd go all squeaky before you popped. Why don't you dye it blue? Because that would be unnatural, Brian. You get the helium from there for filling balloons, yes. The last thing you'd want is to actually run out halfway through the process and end up with brain damage. You kind of want the full session. Sorry, I'll try not to yawn. Because it is infectious, I know it makes everybody yawn. Two and a half weeks no shave, be a while yet till looks respectful, took your advice. Absolutely, John Robinson. Just, it starts off itchy at the beginning, but then it grows past the itchy stage. Beards are good, very useful, particularly in winter. Matt Rutter says, I dyed my beard blue and got massive public approval. They were being polite. I've not spoken to Andy in a long time, Steve Aldridge, but I'm sure he's doing fine. Jen says, I'm 14 days in with beard itchy as hell. It goes through that itchy stage, particularly when you lie on a pillow and the hairs go into the pillow and then they're moved backwards and forwards. But that's fine. I wonder what percent of your audience has a red beard and different coloured hair on top. That's a good thing, Douglas Gander. You wouldn't even need to have a beard now to grow it. Let's do that as a poll. Just do your beard. This is excluding grey. Excluding grey. Spelt British style. Beard and hair colour match. Excluding grey, do your beard and hair colour match? Ask your community. Even if you've not got a beard, you'll get stubble from time to time. You've seen its colour. Bacon celebrate beard to my belly button and great for winter and cooling during the summer. Here's the thing, it does cool because the air can permeate right into your skin. It's not like a separate bit of clothing. It's very good in winter and summer. Verotico says both red. Aha. Because mine is sort of dirty fair hair and a gingery beard. It just goes that transition at that point there. Blades, I've started doing your size. I wonder if I'm the only one. Do I sigh much? I have no beard. I'm a woman. You see, you don't feel excluded. You can get a stick-on one. It's fine. Tried growing my goatee a bit longer. It just gets super curly and looks like crap. Some of them are curly, but it's fine. This hair at the side, when it gets too long, just goes into tight curls. It's all right, though. It's fine. Every beard is different. You can't choose your beard. It's just whatever happens. So the answer to the poll... BB Junkie Mine's a mess. No, yours is characterful. 5% ginger, 10% grey, 20% blonde, the ranger's brown. Some of them just have mixed colours throughout. So 60% the beard and hair colour match and 38% of differing beard and hair colours. That's reasonable enough. It's the European influence. Beards are tactile. They're very tactile, pie float. They feel good to touch. Anyone says my beard is black, blonde and red. Ah. Whole families complain about my beard, but I like it. Emerald, then you have it. It's none of their business. I've always said that if women could grow beards, they would, and they'd have specialist beard parlours. Ah. Strange. Genetics that just have that whole mix of colours that come through beards. Evolution. If I was a pirate, they'd call me Captain No Beard. Ah. What was that thing you asked, Evolution? You made a comment in a recent Patreon video. What was that? Can't remember. I haven't replied yet, I don't think. Yeah, Billy Connolly dyed his beard purple burglar alarm colour. Indeed, Brendan. I saw that. I'm not so sure about purple beards or blue beards. I think natural colours. Green, purple and blue are a bit unnatural. You've dyed yours, Fanatical. Well, this is brown dye at the moment. What power does your beard wield? It repels flames, Weaselbox, but it doesn't do it very well. On Grinder, fitted an LED module to my Vans interior light, getting a ghost glow and it should be off. Any thoughts on what value resistor drop over the supply to snub it? Because it's DC. Is it DC? That's most likely just moisture in the switch, probably. It's a really common thing because it takes very, very little current to make it glow. Check that the switch that's switch it on and off is dry. Even disconnect the switch and see if the light goes off completely. But there may just be capacitive coupling, maybe leakage somewhere. But other than that, just ignore. If it's not intrusive, just let it glow. Let it glow, let it glow, let it glow. BB Junkie, the first Jaeger was to the victims of the earthquake. No, not a pink beard, Daza Direct. Undignified. Steve Smith, how long did it take to grow your beard? Mine takes ages. If the rest of the live streams had been left up, I had to take them down because of the risk of Karens using them as weaponry, weaponizing them against me, because of my rants and inappropriate comments. You'd see that when I dyed it jet black, it took a long time for it to grow out. It takes a year or two. It's slow. Would you get capacitive leakage in DC? No, Echo the Husky. That's usually an AC. It's usually resistive leakage in DC. I like my beard, but wife not keen. Any tips on trimming it back for tidiness, GN? If your wife tells you that she doesn't like the length of your beard, simply turn around and say, I'm really glad you broke the ice here because I don't like your hair either. And I was thinking it needs trimmed well back and see what the reaction is. Because it's a very one-way thing. That was a rant. This is a Renault traffic, so electrics are shit straight from the factory. Yeah, spraying contact cleaner or WD-40 into a switch if there is a leakage or connectors may displace that. I'm pretty sure, did Eric O feature that recently? Or was it somebody else? Not sure that there was a side light staying on it was just dirt in a connector. Would you cut your beard if your lover asked you to? No. I don't have a lover, C of Clay, and to be honest, anybody who started telling me how I was supposed to look would suddenly cease to be a lover. Leaky capacitor, unlikely, Bob S. I feel a tingle with my soldering iron when holding metal. What's up with that? Exos. Is your soldering iron actually grounded or not? It could be that depending on what you're actually touching in your soldering iron, it could be the soldering iron that's grounded and the stuff in the vicinity that's floating, or it could just be ungrounded and capacitively coupling or just DC leakage. Should I say AC leakage, resistive leakage? But really, I tend to recommend that soldering iron should be grounded because you can damage components with a floating iron, the running at mains voltage. Snorkers, last time I grew one, people commented in the grey, which didn't bother me, but I went for a job with a well-known tech company here in San Francisco, and I felt they dismissed me for being too old. Dye the beard and see what happens. Hide your age for an interview. Any experience, says Ivor Sine, with the... Oh, it's just jumped. It's just jumped. Big time. So I can't even remember who that was. It jumped quite a significant chunk. Can't find it. It was about tubes of some type. No, I've lost it. As soon as you scroll to see it, just suddenly bounces to the bottom. I'd be a great divorce lawyer. Basically, I'd make everybody divorce. Seems like a terrible idea. Why do gays want to marry? It doesn't work for the straights. Even with slow mode on, chat's fast tonight. With slow mode off, it would be super fast because people would be just bang multiple comments. Iverson says, I was asking if MD had any experience with Gen 1 NV tubes. Not me. Not sure. The chipmunk. The answer with the porn bot is to grab the screen, just scroll it down a bit, and then it stops it momentarily while you deal with the porn bot. Have we had any porn bots? I've not seen any tonight. Off for a pish, says Mr. Egg Cake. Enjoy your pish. I like using a beauty iron to solder live. I mean, solder live connections. Plan. That would kind of work. Marriage is just a laughable concept these days. It's become more legal than anything else, Brendan. It's just not good. Marriage does work, actually, says Tools. Does it really, though? I'm not sure. Never been married, so I wouldn't know. Sometimes I wonder if marriage does work for some, but sometimes I wonder if it's a friendship killer. The supercomputer's just gone off. How long has it been off for? Maybe I need to charge that power bank more frequently. Oh, it's flat. Yeah. All right, okay. No supercomputer for you. Maybe I should charge it between times. It doesn't seem to be lasting that long. Dead cell. It's flat. The little clicky light in the front is working, but not the level indicator says it's flat. Have you ever experimental fannings in the buffer just for colours? It doesn't really work, MJKG. I've tried chemicals, but it just doesn't work, and I don't think it would carry up the metal particles. It'd be nice if it did. Ever shaved your sack? I've not. Proof that lithium is bullshit, the Daily Fail, Brian Cox. No, just criticising it when it runs flat isn't the correct way. I should have charged it. Hanitar, indeed, if you get on well with your partner, don't ruin it with red tape. Get a civil partnership. Best industrial accident I heard of. We like that. Industrial accidents rob the bob. I heard of when our dad was in the RAF in Iceland, his mate Nobby got his willy stuck to a metal oil drum when he was having a pee outside -30. How do you... What? Methylene blue would work for Woofle. I'm not sure, Fanatical. The Woofle is very yellow in the first place. Thankfully, the camera didn't pick that up. You got more power banks? I do have more power banks. I shall go and get another power bank. No, I didn't hear anything. I did add boric acid to Woofle. It didn't make it green, pseudo memes. It's okay, it wasn't liquid. I'm going to get a battery. I'm not sure which battery. I shall use this big orange one. Hopefully it'll pass enough current to actually keep this one awake. The computer is active again, but will it stay awake? I'm going to sneeze, Sound like liquid. It wasn't liquid. I'll check, hold on. What temperature and humidity is a bungalow at night? Minky Moo 2. Typically, I'm trying to keep it at 60% humidity, but I'm not succeeding at the moment. But the temperature is just a sizzling 11 degrees Celsius, which is too hot, actually. It feels way too hot. H Mark, 38 days till I can buy anything I want. What? Is that age-wise, or is that money, or what? Have you seen the new carbon fiber impregnated batteries that eventually replace car chassis, and the chassis will be the battery DASA direct? There's lots of things presented by students and wannabes, and it's just such a pile of shit. Let's wait until it actually comes out, and then we'll pass judgment once it's there. But there's lots and lots of very shady stuff that all the usual clickbaity tech channels jump on and hype up way above the actual practicality of the science. For instance, I'm still waiting on sodium cells beating lithium cells, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure it will happen at some point, but they're not as good as they say they are yet. BRM Bug, Lord, I wish I could have recorded some of the ones I did at work last week. They were so loud I could hear them over running machinery. That's excellent. All it takes is usually vegetables for me, and then it's just farting like a chimney. Are we talking about AI hype? AI is being blown out of proportion. It's like, I will say I do like Mid-Journey, the art that it's producing, but the GPT chat is a gimmick. We'll see what happens, but at the moment it's just a gimmick. Apparently thorium is where it's at. Yeah, well, thorium dioxide if you're buying products from eBay. Nutsprout, back after extended woof tingles, she ran off. Did you manage to entice her back indoors? Calcium chloride crystals are good for helping with damp. The Amish use them. Eddie Munster. The calcium chloride, the little moisture absorbing things that turn into liquid, are extremely inefficient. You're better with a natural electric dehumidifier, but I've been doing experiments trying to find the ultimate dehumidifier that's low power. It's very tricky. GPT chat will be part of Microsoft Bing's search engine, makes note Treasure Bloke, because all it provided me with was misinformation when I tried it. I was asking fairly specific questions, to be honest, that I knew the answer to already, and it was just getting internet folklore. Bit disappointing that way. Thank you, Joanne Morrison. Much appreciated. ChatGPT seems to be able to write code. Some have said that some of the code it writes actually makes references to commands that aren't supported by the things it was writing code for. Just heat your house. Heating the house would be pointless. It'd just be hot and damp, George S. I like keeping it cold and dry. Prefer cold. All AI chatbots eventually turn extremely racist. Well, they're just basically regurgitating what's on the internet already, which is there will be people who deliberately try to poison the AI with misinformation and aggression. Got woof back. I shouted Din Din's cat food sachet. Do you give your dog cat food? That's quite strange. Each one is usually engineered for specific animals, but it could work. Can we test the latency? We could test the latency. Hold on. To test the latency, I just make sure I'm up to date, and then I go like that. 1, 2, 1.5 seconds. My dog used to prefer cat food. That's reasonable enough. Pseudo memes. It's probably tastier. I've just ordered a big bag of Canadian catnip for the local kitties. Is ChatGPT any good? Electric, if you ask specific questions, yes. But it's not... I haven't been too impressed by it. Maybe I've just asked it the wrong questions. But it's young. But that's okay, it is young. Why Canadian? I'm not sure for an article. Just Canada seems to be a major exporter of catnip for some reason. Do you share the same hairdresser's tech ingredients? It seems brainy people have bad hair. It's just because we don't give a shit about what our hair looks like. When you're technical, you don't need to care about your appearance. If I was a prostitute, I would have to care about my appearance. Maybe I'll be a redneck prostitute. Bentonite, says Lorem Ipsum. Bentonite? Oh, Dennis has been using ChatGPT to write code. That'll be interesting. Thoughts on the balloons over the US? Very exciting, Bean. Want to send some more over. Just everybody shoot balloons. Clumping cat litter. Indeed, Minky Mutu. Put it in your pants and clump it. Grouch ISK, is there any way to have a 50 Hz motor work on 60 Hz? It should work on 60 Hz, but it won't work at the same speed if it's a synchronous motor. But if anything, 60 Hz should actually, for a given impedance of motor, it should actually run at lower power, theoretically. It depends the type of motor. It's quite complex. Cat eats from dog bowl and dog eats from cat bowl. Really? The cat eats the dog food? That's quite strange. I cut my own hair last time, says C. Bonnie. I saved £20, didn't have to sit down while someone walked around me trying to make conversation with scissors. I just shaved my head, it's easier. During COVID, they went to you used to be able to just walk into a barber and they'd join the queue and you'd get your hair cut. And then they went to a booking system where you had to reserve your appointment. And then I just stopped going because I'm not planning ahead. Jesus Christ, planning. Fence up. Don't forget, if you keep the temperature low, the humidity is always shown as high relative to that. It's putting out a fair amount of water from there. It's not too bad. My cats haven't learned to read either, Tom Houston. Why would they tell you? They're probably reading all the time. They're probably using the internet and ordering stuff. Dog gets fresh meat cooked with rice. Sounds nice. Should be had for 20 years. How hard is it, GN? It's just the easiest thing ever. The hardest bit is actually make sure you get the mirror at the back to make sure you've not left the wee tufts. Jack Attack. Friday leave work, pre-pub haircut. Not every Friday though, surely. Libraries is to me a problem. Who wrote this? I want to write it myself. Pete Grundman. You are right. So many people write software for Internet of Things products, and they use someone else's libraries, and there's no saying that there's any that the person who wrote that hasn't put a little backdoor in it, or has made a mistake, or just been lazy, or that there's going to be an exploit that's found later on that you don't have control over. You're stuck with using that module. Sometimes it's better to write it all raw yourself, although it does take a lot more time. Oh, it just clipped and blipped. Hair clippers, £20 in Asda, Breathe Scotland. Laurie, if you become a prostitute, oh, you're way back in the stream. We'll never see how you find how much the smart ones make. Yes, I'm well aware that I probably could be a daddy bear prostitute. But that's not my thing. No sex. Jaeger time. I'm not going to be like be racist around that. So just to prostitutes, all of them. I was going to say racist, sexist, and yeah, everything. Yeah. Didn't really think that one through, did I? The prostitutes. More dignified than lawyers. Because they actually offer a service. It's a trade, so why not? Absolutely, Mouse. Quite easy as well. You just bend over, apparently. I'm not really sure, but I'm not an expert in such things. I'm going to go and get more beer. It's already gone bad just as the first can. On the can it says, Asahi Breweries Limited. It's actually made by Peroni here in Europe. Super dry, it says. How long has it said Superdry? Does that predate the Superdry brand of clothing, I wonder? They prefer to be called whores, are they? Do they really, China North Air Guns? Not sure. Ah, quite expensive, I believe. Except the ones in Glasgow can be got quite cheap, particularly the ones that are drug-addled. Working the Christmas lights in George Square, working the control cabin, this old lady came up and handed us some cards for a local prostitution place. And she said, still got it. And she pulled her, she's an old lady, and just popped her tits out. And it was like, oh. It's like, okay, thank you very much. The card's lovely. Thank you. Yes, you've still got it. Well done. Bye. Very awkward. How much a night with you, Clive? No, I'm no prostitution. Don't understand the dry, Peter Gronman. It means it's very unsweet. It's actually quite tart. It's like dry wine. Arthur Two-Sheds Jackson. That is a very good poll. Start a poll. Have you ever used a prostitute? Really, the services of a prostitute. Used the services. Because that makes it sound more dignified. Have you ever used the service of a prostitute? There we go. Any prostitute, male, female, any prostitute. It's not sweet, so it's a savoury beer. It is kind of savoury. It is very dry. It's quite nice. Male prostitutes too, yes, DCL, and all prostitutes. Google records all the polls. Good. Monkey Man here. It's okay, I'm in the bad books anyway. People are saying that they're just not getting the total, and my views for January have bombed. It doesn't usually bomb this much. It's just I've done something wrong. I've clearly said something. Or, as often happens, the commentary, the automatic translation that goes on, it usually just pops in. If I say not so, it'll put in Nazi and things like that. And maybe I should check those. It's probably done something. It's come across as some bad thing I've said and I've not said a bad thing. You know what it's like? I don't think I had an anti-Google rant because, to be honest, Google does a great job. And I'm not just trying to suck up to them. Okay, I'm disappointed that only 16% have used prostitutes, 15%. The others just pulled their pudding and had a good time, touched their bits, because it's cheaper, a lot cheaper. But it's fine. It goes in bursts. Phoebe to Jim, YouTube does go through phases of promoting the smaller channels, and I'm fine with that, because, it's fair. I appreciated it when our channel was smallish. It's still small compared to the big YouTube channels. Has anybody seen that short, that interview with Casey Neistat? Because for the first 100 million views, he didn't monetize his channel. And at the beginning, I didn't monetize my channel at all. All the adverts were disabled because I wasn't really in it for the money. And then Casey Neistat says that when he enabled advertising, when people said, oh, you should enable it, and he did it, and the money all started pouring in, it was like he was thinking, oh, this was silly. Why didn't I do that before? To me, it's just grown up really slowly. There were landmarks like, £10 a week. It was like, that's actually quite good. That gets me coffee at the weekend. Like the website did that. Someone said you should put adverts on your website because I didn't have adverts for a long time. And it did bring in enough to actually pay for going to a cafe at the weekend, which was quite nice. It feels good when you hit a landmark like that. What did you have to do to enable monetization, Monkey Man here? I already had enough views. All I had to do was go through the procedure of filling in all their paperwork. It was a long time ago, their online forms. Clive, is YouTube the problem, not telling subs? Yeah, by and love. It's just one of these things that happens. Well, that is the problem, as Fran experienced, that if you don't monetize your videos, then YouTube is less incentive to push them because that's what pays for the whole service. So if I put more adverts through my videos, there's a very good chance my videos would be pushed more by YouTube. But that would also involve adverts in the middle of my videos, which I'm not that keen on, so I don't. The little bumper ones will come up every so often, but not the video adverts. I find them so disruptive. I don't like them. And all the people that approach me saying, could you do a promotion? All you have to do is a 60-second. It's only 60 seconds, a minute. Supposing I've got a 10-minute video, you want 10% of the video to be talking about your product. No, I know I could make lots of money doing it. I'm not interested. That's just not my thing. I can't stand Casey fucking Neistat. The guys at Many Swear Words. Oh, Graham Shaw. He's popular with a certain audience. Applied Science is great, Hanatar. That thing the work he puts into those videos is ludicrous. I think at his Patreon, he's paid per video, but he doesn't put a huge number of videos out. He should have gone for the sort of monthly thing, really, I think. But hey, that's what it is. I'd promote bad products. Test an all advert stream just once, Pony Soldiers. I don't know. Put up a vid. I don't want to do that because part of the thing I say for the Patreon supporters, well, they don't get adverts at all anyway on the videos. Not bad for $1 a month. And 4 extra streams. Not bad. Just saying, not bad for $1 a month. Quite good value. But I've just forgotten what I was talking about. I've just done an advert, haven't I? Nighthawk and Light is good. There are some YouTube channels like Great Scott that they put out fantastic content, but they don't put it out that often. Me, I just bang out like a video every 2 days, literally a video every 2 days. The only time that gets tricky is when I'm working things like the Ember 2, and that is a struggle at times. Trying to juggle a busy job and put a video out, content out, is tricky. Now, Corridor Crew, any indirect threats from Capita? No. Brandon, alas, no. Corridor Crew, they actually do their promotions for things like trainers and stuff like that. But they actually have a wee countdown timer, so you can go skip with the right arrow key until you can watch it until it hits 0. So you can skip through it if you wish. I take it you guys are aware you can skip backwards and forwards through YouTube videos with the right-hand arrow key and the left-hand arrow key. And that if you want to go frame by frame, if you pause by hitting the spacebar, you can press the little, just next to the M, the right and left arrow keys and those 2 buttons, the different arrow keys, you can go frame by frame. Also, if you've got the mobile phone, you can double tap on the right-hand side and it'll skip forward, double tap on the left-hand side, it'll skip backwards. There are lots of controls. Also, you can zoom. You can zoom into videos now on your mobile phone. Dear Clive, would you like to promote us signed the BBC? The BBC is history of the turtle moves. It had its time, but it's out of date. Hernia. Mr. Eggcake, yes. I had one, thank you. Don't recommend them. But have you watched Ledgeboom? Yes, New Rock Boy. He puts in so many adverts, promotions. It's mostly adverts and promotions. But having said that, you see how I've got Super Chat enabled in this? That's because Electroboom said, you really should have Super Chat enabled. It wasn't enabled before because I just felt awkward about it. I also felt awkward. It took a lot of thinking about it before I actually signed up to Patreon support because I felt uncomfortable at first. The zooming feature, James Randolph, is great for technical videos. It is, so you can zoom up and look at specific details. My home is a theme park, Brad Rob Shaw. It's just you couldn't really fit many guests in at once. That's proud. YouTube download all your videos to PC. Reasonable enough. That one recent applied science video was the only one I found so far that I felt jumped in too deep. Most are very well explained for non-experts. If you've got to realise that Monkey Man here that Ben is deeply scientific, and there's no way to explain what he did in that video easily. He has access to good scientific equipment. Do you know where Ben works? He works for the Alphabet Corporation in their biomedical thing, I think it is. He's a wizard. Absolutely 100% full-on wizard. Busy tonight? Busy tonight here or elsewhere? I'm not sure. How many are here tonight? Well, 1,000 watching. Yeah, that's a typical average. 1,000 watching now. My videos are boring, says Happy Little Fox, a.k.a. Benji. Only if you're your own worst critic. He even has a wizard hat, Weaselbox. What? Wizard hat? Should I get a wizard hat? And Ben is so relaxed. He is very relaxing, Zdeck Mike. He's just so intuitively knowledgeable in so many things. And the experiments he does, like making electroluminescent displays in LCD or digital paper or whatever, he dives deep. Ben Krasno, applied science. Wizard's sleeve, that's what came to mind. Wizard's hat, wizard's sleeve, yes. He did, he built an electron microscope. Yes. Do I have a wizard's sleeve? Presumably, yes. I think everybody's got a wizard's sleeve, but they're different diameters. The only thing I really hate, says ZX Game Music, YouTube videos when they're red arrows or circles in the video thumbnails. I sometimes put those in the absolute total 100% clickbait ones just because, well, they work. It's just, oh, look at this. Oh, okay. It's like, literally that's it. Or don't forget the, wow, you've got to see this. Oh, remember to watch the end because nothing happens. Yes. God, YouTube has quite a high ratio of shit. Fortunately, I'm addressing that by putting in good quality content, I think. Maybe mine's shit and I don't know it. Maybe I'm actually just a bit dumb. It's fine. Clive, clickbait. I've used clickbait pseudo memes. I mean, there's a couple coming up if you're not a Patreon supporter, you've not seen them yet. But it's the one where I basically distilled tequila. And then one not distilled tequila. I've not done that, actually. Interesting. Try and make it better. But I carbonated tequila and carbonated beer. The beer didn't work very well. Horrible reality. Me holding a bottle and going with a stupid hat on got more views. That's how it works. ZX Game Music. Doing me wrong, Clive. The thumbnail of you carbonating something and did that wow and funny face. It was funny. That's what it is. But you can't do it all the time. Like, you can't do Fanny Flambo videos all the time. Isn't beer already carbonated? Yes, Jason Green. I don't know if it's carbonated or nitrogenated. I think the Guinness is nitrogenated. I tried adding more carbonation, and discovered why they don't. It's very, very messy. I'll give you a clue. It didn't happen on video, but when I had it in the bottle after having poured myself a glass of foam, I thought, well, can I drink it from the bottle, the SodaStream bottle? And it just literally exploded out my mouth like a laser beam of beer. It made a bit of a mess in the kitchen. I've not done a Flambo video for about 8 years. There is only one Flambo video. That's largely because there isn't space to make videos like this anymore. That's also why I don't blow stuff up these days. Well, not deliberately. Because there's so much Flambo stuff in the vicinity. I need to go and work in I need to put my new bench or get the wood and put the bench in the workshop outdoors in the garage. Because then make it a fireproof zone. It is a big, huge spool of soda, Hanatar. It's also closer than you might think. But it is a big spool of soda. Beer's carbonated naturally. It is GS1512. There's no harm adding a bit more. Blow stuff up outside to a degree, yes, Weaselbox. I have. With a dynamite blaster. Need to start a shop to sell all your junk, Red Phantom, or just get local friends to come and help themselves. Evolution, your obsessive hoarding is affecting our viewing pleasure. It's all technical stuff. That's, I need to get the garage sorted out. That will solve it. And then I'll be able to do interesting things like plug USB devices into 240 volts directly. Well, not deliberately. That's your tombstone quote covered at tombstone. There will be no tombstone. Straight to the crematorium, Ralph said, what do you want me to do with the ashes? And I said, put them in the bin. I don't care. I'll be dead. Jesus. Can we go to the half hour? Yes, we can. Had to condense down to all the good stuff. What? Photonic induction washing machine videos the funniest ever. Yes, to a degree. Although Ed, Aussie50, did some pretty good versions of that as well. 3D printed urn. Yes. C. Bonnie. I remember sprinkling my dad's ashes and my mum, who had Alzheimer's at that point, when we finally got round to sprinkling where we wanted them sprinkled, we sprinkled them, and then she wanted to keep the urn because it was quite nice. DCL, we left my dad at the creme there, prom, not mine. I guess they put him in the memorial garden along with everybody else's ashes. I could sell the ashes. You could buy a bit of Clive. Smallclive.com. Can we go to 1 a.m. UK time? No, we can't. I'm off to IOM in summer to see relatives. Hope Big Clive's time for a coffee in Ramsey. I don't see why not. Nuts and proud. But when in summer, because keep in mind that I work July and August, tend to work in Edinburgh too. Thank you, Jeff. Much appreciated. Hanatar, what the fuck is the point of a nice expensive urn? Yeah, get the cheap plastic ones, not unless you're going to do something fancy with them. Roll your ashes into fireworks, indeed. Or flush them. I just killed another lithium-ion battery dissector to learn to be quick after the first one melts down. James Randolph, top tip. Discharge them completely before it, and then they're less volatile. Oh. Breathe Scotland. I blew up 2 big boulders, the real 4mm cord under instruction, very satisfying. Det cord. Nice. Send it to the UK filament producer. I could, Cbonnie. It could be Big Clive filament. Build yourself. People would make sex toys out of it. That wouldn't be a good idea. So it will be going on till the half hour and ending on a woof. Just so you know that. It's flown by, actually. That's about 11 minutes away. Just so you know that. Algorithm and time constraint said, how many videos do you dream about putting out? Daza Direct. Right at the moment, I could literally put out a video every day because I've got a backlog of videos. It actually feels a bit awkward because then I can't really stop making videos because then the Patreon supporters wouldn't get the regular stream of videos because they ended up getting one every day for a while, particularly when I was preparing to traveling with work. But one every 2 days is about right. Sometimes I think maybe I shouldn't have put so many out, but then on the other hand, I think it's quite good. It lets people pick and choose which videos they want to see. John Noakes, did he get launched in a firework? I didn't realise that, Ian Griffiths. Seems appropriate. What if Ralphie goes first? Maybe I'll sell his ashes, not really sure. I think he'd probably explode in the crematorium, given the amount of alcohol in his body. Dennis Lacroix, one time I connected AC transformer to CR2032, nothing happened for the longest time until it went bang and I never found the insides. Yes, if you prop a little blowtorch on a brick outdoors pointing at a lithium cell, it's because it's hermetically sealed, it does blow up with force. I don't think it's the lithium, I think it's just the pressure. I could brew him into a whiskey evolution. Ralph is going to leave me a huge heritage to deal with of whiskey casks. Ah. Clive around 9k from Patreon alone. I don't. It's not 9k. Definitely not 9k pounds. A whiskey bottle is on with googly eyes. That could be. There's actually, well, no Jack Attack. It's not Jaeger o'clock. That happens on the hour, but there is a spare Jaeger. Sell them all and spunk the lot in electrical tat. That's what I could do, evolution, except I have too much electrical tat already. Maybe I'll just fill Ralph's house with stuff. To hoarding electrical tat. Jennifer Dowden, the mother of CRISPR, what? I don't know who that is. Oh, Shudamim says, lithium cells generate hydrogen, which pressurizes the cell. Then once it gets hot enough, it reaches the auto-ignition temperature of the organic electrolyte. Does it? I could make Ralphie filtered spirits. Filtered through pure ego, Red Felon. His house could be the storage, indeed. The shade of green in the fire is so pleasing. It is green LEDs. Hoarding, I'll pay endless storage bills to that, Rifleman. Indeed, sometimes I would just wonder, just get a huge big shed built in your garage and fill it. Mind you, didn't Julian Eilert end up doing that? The Chipmunk, a designer in the 1930s dental x-ray machine I know still exists in the basement of a Gosport dental practice. You do realize you can buy an x-ray machine on eBay these days, dental ones. Oh, just order kebab. That's nice. Pool Paul. What do I need to do to charge a disposable vape battery that's dropped too low, Steve Aldridge? Just use a standard TP4056 module. If the voltage has gone low, it will trickle charge it back up to 3 volts and then it will just charge it normally. It will potentially impact its ability to deliver current in the future, but it's not the end of the world usually. Graham Shaw, 8 minutes to go. Okay, say something clever, affect, fail. Yes. Oh, don't talk about the garage. I have a double one, but no room for a car DCL. That's what garages are for. Don't put cars in them. The cars are waterproof. Don't waste the space with a car. The TP4056 are quite good. They are indeed, particularly ones that are protected. Paul, does anyone use Second Life 3D? Hold on, that's quite an exotic question. Is it actually virtual reality? Life 3D. Ask your community. Second Life is a game where you go into a virtual reality. It's basically escaping from the real world. It seems to be very common. I've heard of Second Life, but not Second Life 3D. People literally live in it as an alternative, but then people live in Minecraft as well, so they get away from the real world. I could see them putting the virtual reality headsets on and just escaping with friends that they don't have to actually form meaningful relationships with. Second Life gets boring very quickly. I don't think I could do anything like that. I've got First Life, and it's doing just fine, thank you very much. But I can understand it. My guards is a metalworking lathe. That's quite useful. I do that with THC. Chris Gurr. I know someone who plays music in bars in Second Life and earns money from it. Breathe Scotland. Nuts and Proud plays music in bars, in clubs. I don't know if he earns money from it though. Meaningful relationships, the worst. They involve contact evolution. It's like, duh. Have online friends, it's safer. So it turns out that actually it's more than I was expecting. 4% use Second Life 3D. That's more than I was expecting. A small lathe, any lathe is quite useful. Do you want this in 3D? I'm not sure I can actually do it. They probably can do it. I don't know if YouTube allows live streaming in 3D. It'd be quite interesting if it did. What ceramic capacitors are in the drawers behind you? The only ceramic ones that immediately come to mind are in the high voltage section. High voltage, high voltage, high voltage. Where is the high voltage drawer? There's the high voltage drawer. And it has the high voltage diodes and high voltage capacitors. These ones are rated. Quality chip store. I'm not sure. It'll be printed on them in super tiny text. Probably about 5,000 volts, I'd guess, for high voltage experiments. I can't cope with life. I have really no reason for a second DCR, and well, that's why some people escape into a second life, is just because it's away from the real life. Clive got presbyopia, it seems. Okay. The eyesight is not great. Nuts Proud, I make £30 a week DJing in Second Life. I did not know you get paid to do so. That is quite impressive. That's useful. That pays for your dinner at the weekend and other things. That'll get you quite a lot in France, actually. That's pretty good. There's a watch in VR set I can see. You probably could stream in 3D. Well, that's interesting. That would be interesting. I once saw one of those blue cats film TV emitted pink smoke. Interesting, Bob S. I'm in Second Life now, same Oscar Wilder. Ah. What games do you play? I don't play any games, David. I'm not into games. I mean, I've got pinball machines here. I've got a video game through there. Fruit machines, slot machines. But I don't really play games as such. Other than at night time, I'll use solitaire on my phone just to basically, I'll play it just to take my mind off things until I'm literally falling asleep between card moves, and then I'll just put the phone down, glasses off, and conk out straight away. That's the only game I really play. Does designing circuitry count as games? Does reverse engineering circuit boards count as games? Possibly. Dad Gone Wild sounds like a pished Welshman. Now, Pat, where is Dad? Is he Czech? I think he's Czechoslovakia. I'm not really sure. I thought he was Indian at first. Solitaire is very soothing because it's actually a really complex game. So much is happening at once because every card has to trigger a scan of all the other cards. It's quite complex. Graham Shaw, I built a good game PC 2 years ago, still not bought any games for it yet, lol. Good for video editing though, perhaps. Iron Air batteries. A lot of these things, the battery technologies, some of them are interesting, but they're not really available as such. Is it reaching? It's almost reaching far time. I can still play solitaire in my head, Fanatical. I'm not sure that would work so well. You might have preferential card selection. Save your sanity, don't play chess. I did try to play chess when I was young, tools. It's not my thing. It's not. I'd rather design circuit boards and write software. More useful. Gaming PC is good for 3D modeling too. That's true. Just powerful graphical computer. Iron Air is old technology, not quite dead. Some of the old technologies rebound, Murky and Gully. Sometimes they come back. Like gaslighting. Gaslighting was overtaken by electricity. and tungsten lights, carbon filament lights, should I say. So that gave them incentive to improve things. So then they came out the gas mantle, and suddenly gas was more efficient and brighter than and whiter than tungsten, well, electric lighting, and suddenly gas took off again. All it takes is running out of lithium, and then suddenly there'll be new battery technologies. Woofle. All it needs is a market, like, say, for instance, ultraviolet LEDs, UVC LEDs. COVID made a market for them. And the UVC tubes, like the one I sterilized us with at the beginning of the stream, suddenly there's a huge market for them again. Wooflin, I'll make this a slow one and try and not flop it over. Woofle. Fiery. But now, it is time to do technical things. And I shall catch up with you next week as usual, because now it turns out that the Patreon streams happen every week now. Every Thursday for Patreon. With an audience of about 100, 150. The chat rate at the moment is roughly 1 a second. And Patreon, it's roughly 1 every 10 seconds. So, you know, it really does scale down. It just makes it much more manageable. But anyway, that is the end of the stream this week. I shall catch up with you next week. Have a good week. Take care and have fun. Awkward moment.